Hey all, happy Tuesday. Britt over here of In Arms Coaching. I coach and mentor magical women and multi-passionate entrepreneurs and visionaries and luminaries and creatives so that you get to show up in the world without fear and do the work that you're called to do and make the money that you want to make and have the impact that you want to have. That's a little bit about what I do. I am legitimately hiding in my bedroom today, as I have the last few days, while madness ensues below me and the cabinets go in the kitchen. And I wanted to jump in to talk to you today about resistance to what you want. This is something that we talk about a lot in the programs, because in the programs that I lead for women, we do probably as much inner work as we do outer external strategies of business growth. And one of the things that I noticed, so back in the days before I was making a living from In Arms Coaching, back when I was still working my bridge job, which was nights waitressing and bartending at a local restaurant, I was working with a coach, which I did from the beginning. I hired a business coach before, actually, like, we had one session before In Arms Coaching actually was like created, because I really knew that I couldn't afford to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what stuck. I really knew that I was serious and that I had no plan B for making a business that was successful and that could take care of me and my kid. So I knew that I had to do it right. And I knew that I didn't know anything about growing a business. So I hired help. Anywho, in some of the first few sessions, we were talking about income and wealth. And I noticed that although wealth was what I wanted, like back then, we didn't, back then I was still going grocery shopping and putting back items every single time because I didn't have enough money. We were on food stamps. The kid and I lost our home and had to move in with my mother. Like, things were really bad. But when I thought about being successful in my business, when I thought about really growing like wealth, like abundant wealth, like not just things are paid, which would have been enough for me. Good morning, folks. Not just things were paid, but there was actually like savings. There was retirement. There was a home that I owned, like that kind of wealth, which was really hard for me to even imagine back then, to be honest. Um, of course, I wanted that, but I also realized, or my coach helped me realize, because I actually couldn't see this at first, that I had as many reasons to fear and be resistant to wealth as I did to have wealth. And that was really shocking to me. I remember that early on, I had said something to my coach. I don't even remember the circumstances anymore because it was a good 13 years ago. But I had said something to her. I lived in a very wealthy area at that point. Like, people in my kids' nursery school had butlers, like that kind of wealth. I don't even really know what a butler does, but they had butlers. And I remember saying something to my coach at that point, kind of like, resentful and disparaging about the moms that I was having to like be in community with who had butlers. Like, they were just nothing against having a butler if that's your thing, but they weren't my kind of mom. And I was having a really hard time imagining myself fitting into this community. And she stopped me and she's like, "Tell me about wealthy people." And I was like, "Oh, like, wealthy people are out of touch and they're like, they don't have any connection with like the rest of the world." Like, I had all these preconceived notions about wealthy people. And she was like, "Do you see how this could be a way or a reason that you sabotage yourself around creating wealth? Because, like, if you believe all these things about really wealthy people, you're not going to want to be one of them." And I was like, "Oh." And so I realized that not only did I have preconceived notions about really wealthy people, but I also had areas where I was connected to struggle, connected as an invested in struggle. And some of that is just like my pride in coming from a family of origin that like never had really like extra money. So like I have pride and like we always made it work. There's this badge of honor with like, even when the lights got turned off because we didn't pay the bill, we always had groceries. There are these badges of honors that I associated with financial struggle that I wasn't even aware of. And to contemplate severing them and moving on to a place where I financially had my oxygen mask on had a lot of weight to it. So as I started to grow my business, I really had to look at this in a variety of different ways. And the real question I want to pose to you is, for the thing that you say you want right now in your business, whether it's income or free time or more clients or teams. So for that thing that you're basically working under the assumption that you want and that you're moving towards, I want you to look at all the reasons why you might not want it or why you might be uncomfortable with having it. This is what Carolyn Elliott, who's one of my teachers, calls divided will. And it's what I call one brake on the gas, one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, where the conscious part of you wants something, but there are as many, and you're working on the surface towards that, but there are as many parts of you, or at least, a good number of parts of you that have a reason not to want it or to be in resistance about it. And what happens is that you're usually unconscious about those pieces. So it operates as like a foot on the brake. So for instance, we found a point in my, like in the first 2 years probably of in-arms coaching, where obviously I wanted to make a living from it. Obviously I wanted more clients, and yet I was sabotaging my coaching calls. Like I wasn't doing the homework. I would forget a call, or like it would somehow disappear from my calendar. Like I was sabotaging. And so my coach was like, and this is one of the many amazing things about a coach, she was like, I think something's up here. What's going on? You're not doing the things that you say you want to do. What's happening here? And I realized at that point that even though I desperately wanted to make more money and I desperately wanted clients, I was at this funky point that a lot of people coming out of poverty get to, where in order to get health insurance and food stamps, I had to stay at like something like 17 or 18,000 a year in New York City for myself and my toddler income. And I was about to go over that. Yet, if I went over it and my insurance and food stamps were taken away from me, I would not yet be making enough to pay for health insurance for my kid, and I would not yet be making enough to pay all of my living expenses in New York City. So I got to this place where I was like, oh my God, I want to make more money. But if I make more money, something bad is going to happen. Something hard or difficult is going to happen. And I had to really look at that. And, my fix was to be like, okay, I'm not going to just make 20,000 a year and like cut myself off of benefits. I'm going to make 30, 40, 50, 60,000 a year. And I really had to get over that. Like, there is a resistance to the thing that I say that I want because it's uncomfortable or scary. Yeah, the whole fear of success thing, it's just as common as fear of failure. So I wanted to give you a couple of reasons that I usually hit in a really, I feel like this is a really relatable scenario. So this is the one I'm using. And I'll preface this by saying, I want to be wealthier than fuck. I want more money than the people who own Amazon. I want more money than the people who own Netflix. I want more money than Richard Branson. I want all the money. And that's because I know that I'm going to change the world with it. And I want the women that I work with to have all the money because I know who they are. I know what their hearts are like. I know what they'll do. I know what this world will look like if women like us are holding the purse strings. So I'm going to say unapologetically, I want all the fucking money. I want it all. Not all, but I want a good portion of it, and I want you guys to have the rest of it. That being said, at any given time, I can give you at least 10 reasons that I'm afraid to make more money. Or it's not really fear at this point, it's resistance. Ready? So here are just a couple of quick reasons why I'm invested in not making more money. One, I'll have to pay more taxes. I do not approve of where my money is going right now. So I don't want to pay more taxes. I'd rather donate it in charity. But when I raise my income level, I'm going to have to pay more taxes. Two, I have a fear that the more money I have, the more it will sort of slip through my fingers. Like I have this like fear that I'm not, it's like this really old belief that hasn't completely been solved yet, that I'm not good with money. And most of that comes from me not having money. It wasn't that I wasn't good with it. It was that I wasn't making enough. But the fear that got sort of enmeshed in my body is that I'm not good with money. So I have this fear that if I get lots and lots and lots and lots more money, I won't be good with that either. I have a fear that like, or discomfort that it'll be intimidating to people that I love, that we might be wealthier than our immediate circle and people will judge me or resent me or think that I came by it too easily or I don't work hard enough from. I have a fear of judgment and resentment from our circle. I have a fear of exploitation and not being able to trust people. Like if we have a lot of money, how will I know that people like really want to be my friends and don't just want something for me? I have a fear of setting boundaries. I'm a giver. So I'm afraid that if I get a lot more money, I'm just going to throw it out at the world and not be really thoughtful and conscientious with it. I have a fear that if I make a lot more money, even though, and this is one of these things, this is why this resistance is so good to get out. This one doesn't make any sense. I am the creatrix of a time bending, magical set of time management tools. I know how to manage my time, but there's still a part of me that thinks if I make a lot more money, it's going to be because I have to spend a lot more of my time and it's going to cost me my freedom. This is so good to talk out, even because it's like, of all the people in the world, I am probably the most sure that I will not let that happen. Yet there it is when I really think about it. Um, yes, Sabrina, I love your comments. So it's really important. And this is the last thing that I'll leave you with. Actually, maybe I'll talk about it tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll talk about one of Carolyn Elliott's axioms, which is having is evidence of wanting, which is like been magical in my business. And, you know, in these 30 videos in 30 days, I'm leaning more towards the magical, like where magic meets business. But I want you to understand that even the most magical concepts and practices have hardcore results and ripple effects in your business. So it's like we might not be talking about like how to sell your program, but divided will and having as evidence of wanting will absolutely help you sell your program, get your clients, raise your income. So even though these sound like maybe airy fairy, more woo pieces, they're not at all. They're actually like some of the missing fucking pieces that I teach my clients that had me struggling for so many years. And that's why I'm really happy to hand them over now. So I think that was your video from me today. Please comment if you're watching the replay. Thank you for watching live with me. Thank you, Sabrina, for your comments. I really appreciate them. If you know of women who would love to hear any of these videos, please tag them or share these. My hope for these videos is that I get to connect with more and more women from my little corner of the bedroom. Wait, no, you say hi, Nini. Say hi. Hello, Nini. So the more you share them and tag women, the more women I get to meet. And I really love that. I will see some of you on the Focus Pocus workshop tonight. I'm going to get to work with some of you tonight. I'm so excited for our workshop this evening. So some of you I'll see there, and the rest of you, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow.